Oh, hi.
Hey, are we on the air yet? Oh, sorry. Hey, welcome to Lawfully Chaotic, Season 4, Episode 28.
28.
That's a lot. Hey,
Not
3
just two,
miles,
not just
and
eight, but
hey,
28.
uh, Forgia Martelli. That's an awesome name. Welcome. Welcome to Lawfully Chaotic.
Yes.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Brian. Well, that's a great show. Bye, everybody.
All righty. As with me always. God, every time I do that. Why can't I get that right? As with me always. From now on, I'm just going to say that. As with me always is Jason, the storyteller of TTRPG Academy Extraordinaire.
I try, really try.
Not sure if Kristen is joining us today. She might pop in, and if so, then we will say hi to her. I'm not sure she knows yet that she's basically a regular.
A regular?
Yeah. She probably should let her know.
Yeah.
But I guess
maybe last week that she wasn't joining and we missed it. I mean, it's possible.
Oh, wait a minute. Did she say?
I thought she said she was traveling, so maybe I wasn't sure.
Did.
She might have said something about that. Something about PAX or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. Ugh. Well, then I guess it's on us for not listening.
Well, I kind of listened.
That's true. You at least recalled it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I mean, I'm just saying maybe. I mean, I don't know.
No, now that you mention it, I think I do remember that. All right, well, so it looks like it's you and me, just like old times.
Just looks like me and you, just like old times. Creepy as fuck, I say.
Creepy. Speaking of creepy,
I
don't know. Just wanted to say speaking.
Oh, well, actually, speaking of creepy, they have a release date for the Rome Cthulhu game. It's coming out in October. So I know we talked about it in State of the Game, I think about 6 or 7 months ago, but yeah, yes. it's all about you play in that time period, and it's all Cthulhu Rome time period. It just looks
sounds
cool.
So awesome because I love the Cthulhu mythos, but I have to be honest, I'm not a super fan of the Roman times from the standpoint of a game setting.
Really? I mean, you can still kind of make it fantasy. I mean, they were superstitious as hell. I
guess, yeah, I know.
I mean, you still got all the gods. You got the, the Eldridge, the whole Eldridge mythos goes back so far.
I know this was Greek, but I suppose you could do like a Clash of the Titans type of thing.
Sure, why not? I mean, and I love the idea that you don't have any technology concerns.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like it really does feel like a setting that obviously has some cringe associated to it, right? There's obviously the slavery thing and everything involved in Roman hierarchy. But I think that once again, they write more to the setting and less to the political expectation. Kind of like what Matt did with Candela Obscura, which was to try to build an alternate universe that was more about the haves and have-nots as opposed to the diaspora of, slavery and racism and all that kind of stuff.
I get it.
But the theme setting, the theme setting, which kind of got me on a kick about, I haven't sat down and done any serious world building in a while. Have you?
God, I can't believe you said that, because 2 days ago, and I actually wrote a note down, so I know it was 2 days ago. I thought the same thing. I'm like, man, I haven't done any world building, even of a dungeon or a city, let alone a whole world. I haven't done that in ages. So I can't believe that you.
Well, and it got me, interested. A lot of the stuff going on in the world news of TTRPG seems to be talking about what Warhammer's releasing, Critical Role's upcoming 4th season, the release schedule for D&D, the release schedule for Star Wars. Like, there's these core things out there that just seem to kind of churn in the water over and over and over and over again. So I got a little distracted this week, and I wasn't really interested in TTRPG news or tabletop news or RPG news. I
actually feel that it's just kind of like a little stagnant right now. Like,
there's nothing really new.
All these new releases, and it's just like.
So I found myself having some creativity challenges. When you run 8 games a week, and I've opened up 2 new tables on my website, to hopefully, I've got people that played with me many years ago who are reaching back out to me again. It's kind of the typical fall to winter thing where a lot of people live in places that there's nothing to do because it's cold outside, and they want to play games again. Yeah, exactly. We had our little stint with Daggerheart, playing Daggerheart, and I do enjoy Daggerheart. I don't know if it's meant for long form yet, because I think one of the things you have to do in Daggerheart, and this might have been what triggered me about this, is you got to do some world building. And they encourage world building with the table as a whole. But sometimes I get this creative muscle that's like, I want to build a village. I just want to sit down and build a village, and I want to make it fun. And I'm wondering if I could challenge myself with the idea, could I run an entire campaign for a year out of just one village? Like, could you do it? Like, could you build this village?
Dimensional portal. Random dimensional portal.
Well, no, I mean, literally, like, because
I think
2 of my tables are very focused on building the story as we go.
Do you remember the movie The Village, M. Night Shyamalan?
Boy, that was terrible. Yes, but I do remember the movie.
Yeah.
Seriously, he prefers to go by the moniker M. Night. So
M. Night, yeah. M. Night.
For those of us that are challenged with saying names, just call him M. Night. He'll appreciate it.
Hey, if my name was M. Night, I'd want to be called that too. Death Roll making it. Oh, that's cool on an island.
Well,
but no, seriously, like you could take that kind of storyline where there's a village, and it's in the middle of this vast forest, and it's been generations and generations of this lore that you never go out, past a certain point in the forest, and not out at night, and just kind of like, I think that would be actually really challenging to come up with and really fun to do.
And I think what really got me thinking about that is I was watching Bob the World Builder talk about how he was impressed with the Borderlands box set, because I'd watched you and Kristen talk about it. I'd watched a lot of other people talk about it. And it was interesting to see a reboot of the Caves of Chaos. It was interesting to see their retake on the questing system and this whole new way of, I don't know, this whole new way of kind of like creating a system specifically to help people become DMs and become players, right? It's a starter set, right? It's a starter set. And I'm like, you know what? I would love to simply build a town. Maybe a village is too small. Maybe you build a town, so maybe you build a town, and and every time you meet with the session of the players who are playing in that campaign, they get to just randomly add something to the town. Like there's something at the end of the session where folks kind of say, maybe a new merchant comes to town, or maybe a strange, farmers on the outskirts of the town, or maybe this strange new market opens up. There's a carnival in the town. There's like all these like really kind of interesting things that you can do without having to build this giant kind of, like a bigger Bastion system, I think, which I've been kind of doing over the last 2 years, even before they, rebooted Bastions. I've also borrowed the idea of, using environments to, like, if you own like a tavern in your town, if you take a short rest in your tavern, you get the same effects as a long rest. This idea of like just making a deeper, multi-layered space that may look confining, but actually feels very large within itself. So I think I spent this whole week just on YouTube looking at all these world builders and seeing their take on it. Just really enjoying watching how they're building worlds and their perception of building worlds. Whether it's a sci-fi world or a high fantasy, low fantasy world, a modern world, a hope punk, cyberpunk world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, there's a lot of interesting things going on with world building out there.
This was completely unplanned, just FYI. Everybody knows we don't fucking plan anything. We don't even talk.
Well, see, old people are like mushrooms. We have our own mycelium network. So as soon as we start thinking about something.
Exactly. So when I was in the car the other day and I'm like, I haven't built anything. I really want to build a city. I'm like, that was probably the point at which your brain said the same thing. Yeah, so the idea that I had, I love Waterdeep. Play a game we're going to.
I did a campaign, cool. Shadows of Baldur's Gate, which was the origin story of Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
There was some lore there, but we did a 2-year campaign just in the city.
Yeah, so, and that's why I love the idea of a city big enough that you could do like an entire, even year-long campaign in a city.
Yeah.
And I had this idea, and okay, it's funny because when I was in Delaware last month, we were on the beach, and I was digging a sandcastle with my son, and we just dug this deep hole, and then I started building like around the edge.
Right.
And basically what I created was an idea for a dwarven city, like built into a giant sinkhole.
Interesting.
Okay, and big enough, and because if you've read the books or seen the series Silo,
yes.
Okay, so it's
fan fiction Silo is really good too. I don't know if anyone's actually gone out there into the Kindle world. In the Kindle world, there's a lot of fan fiction.
Oh shit! I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
But the idea that this city is built, and what's funny is when I got to book, whatever book it was in Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I'm not giving any, there's no spoilers here, but the city of Laracos, I'm like, oh fuck, that's my idea, kind of. It's built in a funnel, right? A little bit different. Mine is structured differently, but so just for the record, I'm not ripping off Matt Dinneman because I did have the idea first. But what I was thinking is, again, rather than tackling, because I was trying to be, I've got the same, I'm going through that same creative bug that you are right now.
Yeah.
Like I want to start jump starting my my creativity and creative process. So rather than fool myself into thinking that, oh yeah, I could just go out, I'll start building a whole new world, because we all know where that's going to end up.
Yeah.
I thought I'd like to build this city that could be a, analogous to or a replacement for Waterdeep, if need be. And as I was thinking about it, and I am going to do this. I've started doing drawings and whatnot already, but obviously it lends itself to a dwarven fortress city right off the bat. But I'm thinking I could take the same city and make it a totally different either race or theme or whatever. Like it could be an elven city, and instead of a jagged hole in the ground, it's almost like this sylvan grotto, with waterfalls and shit like that. It could be, there were a bunch of ideas that I had.
But I'm wondering if our brains, when we do this, right, when we're having our campaign games, we're playing at these tables, and we're really enjoying watching people kind of enjoy the table and enjoy the campaign, these big world settings just don't matter to the players anymore. They it's like,
well, I think it goes hand in hand with the big story. I don't think players are opposed to a big world. I just think with that big world comes that big storyline that you and I have talked about, where it's just kind of getting a little bit.
Forcing a round peg into a square hole. It's like, you know, do we really want to save the world every time we sit at the table, or do we just want to explore the sandbox? And I think that's one of the things I enjoy about our Sunday campaign. 2 of my Sunday campaigns, the Crucible, they haven't left Drusar yet. They've been in Drusar 40 sessions now, I think, almost 40 sessions. You know, and they're really. I mean, right? I mean, I mean, there was an entire 2 weeks of session that you know, the Drusar forever. You know, there was an entire 2 weeks worth of, you know, 2 or 3 weeks worth of sessions where we never left the Fate Walks Bridge, where it was just in that little area of the Fate Walk Bridge, and
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. I think one of the things that makes me a good DM and good GM is I can really absorb the creativity of a table. And sometimes that creativity of a table allows me to get to build worlds and build things, you know. But I've also gotten really lazy about making magical items. So I bought, for the first time, a bunch of third-party books in D&D Beyond. The Griffin's Bag 2. I really love Origamo or the kind of, I forget. I probably
did you use any of my magic items?
No, because they're not in D&D Beyond. If you put them in D&D Beyond, I'll use them.
They are all way too fucking complicated to fit into D&D Beyond.
But see, that's the thing. Like, I was really struggling.
Items that are complicated as fuck.
Yeah, I was really struggling to get creative about you know, magic items.
In fact, I want to hear this, but loop back when you're done.
Okay. So I started realizing that if I go into D&D Beyond, they have a lot of cool magic items already pre-built: potions, rings, armor, weapons. You know, every now and then I'll drop a wondrous item now, and I'm like, why am I not using these things? Why am I killing myself to build magic items when there's so many magic items already? Like, one of the books I bought had 550 items in it. And I was well, shit, man. Yeah, there you go. That solves. And then it allowed me to shift my creativity away from obsessing about magic items. And, you know, stirring the pot of, you know, creativity. I think by far my favorite creative outlet is NPCs. That's by far my favorite creative outlet, because they're so versatile, they're so useful, they're so engaging, they're so much fun. I think my big challenge I have is my players get mad at me because they fall in love with my NPCs, and then sometimes the NPCs either die or kind of just disappear into the diaspora of the big world.
But that's fantastic. I mean, that's immersion right there. NPCs are easy to create from a mechanical standpoint, and then there's such a depth that you can put behind them. But the magic item thing, it's funny because I also thought of a magic item, because I love designing magic items, and I also hadn't done that in a long time. We could get cheap followers on streamboo.com, Jason.
I know. Look, Rayvax plays. Somehow, I don't think Rayvax plays.
Oh, we should totally do that.
I get the feeling that Rayvax doesn't play because, you know, Rayvax is probably just a bot.
Rayvax is a cyborg. But on the fly, I kind of started to design a magic item for my last group because I had to give them something. And I got this, I think I showed you, I got this set of 6 dice 6 that are like little bones. They're actual like little bones.
Yes, I did see those.
I picked them up and I'm like, you find a bag with 6 bone dice in it. And my idea was that you can roll 1 or more of the dice, and it's a random magic effect, almost like the wild magic table, but I have to custom create one. It's a random magic effect, and the more dice that you roll, the more potentially powerful the effect is, beneficial, but then also the chance goes up of rolling something that can kind of like backfire on you.
Yeah, I mean, I love that because
and the more dice you roll, the more chance you have of one of those dice actually being consumed in that spell. So
no, I love that because like one of the things I
am going to finish that.
Okay, one of the things the Wednesday table does is that they all started at level 1 with their own weapon. Each of them chose a weapon or an item.
Oh yeah, you told me. Yeah.
Yeah, so like as they level up, their item or weapon levels up with them as well. Now I've had a lot of fun with that because Xander's character has an item, a book that's tethered to his character, but it's a discovery for him every time he reads the book, right? Every time he gets into that book, it's either a good discovery, a bad discovery. It just kind of, depends. Both Sunday tables are now not using spell slots. They're using spellcasting rolls, right? So,
Sunday table?
Yeah, you're using spellcasting rolls now, aren't you?
We're using AP system.
Well, I know we're using the AP system, but I thought we switched over to spellcasting rolls too. Well, I guess it's just Crucible that's doing it. Oh no, sorry, it's Rain, the Red Tide Monday nights, and Crucible currently got rid of spell slots. So Monday and Sunday night we don't use spell slots anymore. We took Shadow Dark's method of spellcasting, and we built a custom Wild Magic table on a D100 system. That every time you cast, if you fail your spellcasting roll, then you have to roll on the Wild Magic table.
Fucking love it.
Right? And it gets rid of that whole nightmare of tracking shit. And
and
once you pick your spell, like, I don't care what anyone says. With casters, once you pick the spells that you love the most, those are the ones you're going to want to use. Yeah. And the problem with spell slots is it mitigates those other spells that may have value. Like may have value with
you never end up using them,
and you never end up using them. So yeah,
you know what I would even do? I would go further and still use the rules for the number of spells you could have prepared. I guess this wouldn't count.
Well, we still do that. We still keep that rule.
Yeah, but you could say that as long as the spell is in your book, but if it's not prepared and you still want to cast it, it's just a higher. Or you do it with disadvantage.
Yes. Yeah,
if you fail, then there's a potential double wild magic side.
Well,
effect.
See, so the way it works, because
that's another thing. It's like, you get to a certain point and you never even prepare some spells.
Yes,
you have.
I agree. It's kind of like when I gave potions as a free action. I did that because I wanted people to use them more frequently.
Yeah.
So far for the tables,
that's a really cool mechanic. The spell roll.
So in Shadow Dark, it's a base number 10 plus the level of the spell, right? So if you're rolling a 14th level spell, you got to roll 14 or higher. Now I think in Shadow Dark they only allow you to use the spell modifier for your.
You have to roll a fourth level.
Huh?
You said if you're rolling a 4th level spell, you need a 14 or higher, right?
Right, because it's base 10.
Okay.
And then it includes the level of the spell. So if it's a 4th level, it's a 14 or higher to roll it. Now, in Shadow Dark, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think in Shadow Dark, you use either your intelligent, wisdom, charisma, whatever your modifier is for your spell casting. Yeah. I think they let you do that. Now, I bumped it up a little bit to make it not as potentially risky, so it becomes a little bit more fun to use as opposed to risk averse to use. So I allow people to roll their spell attack modifier. So they roll a d20 versus whatever they're casting, and if they're, we've had a couple times now, multiple times in one night where they only had to roll an 11 or higher to cast a spell. And they couldn't get above an 8. And so we're rolling on that D100 table. One time, one player turned into a chunk of cheese. That was the outcome. You're a little wedge of cheese on the ground. But the problem was when they became a little wedge of cheese on the ground, no one saw how it happened. So one of the other players was like, oh, look, a wedge of cheese. They picked it up, put it in their pocket to eat it later. So it's like... it really, I like
my favorite mechanic in the entire game is the
I love to add just enough chaos to really inspire the creativity of the other players, of players in general.
You could also say that if you fail the roll by more than your modifier, so say you're casting an 8th level, you need an 18.
Oh my God, it's Barry! Hey, Barry Bot!
Hey, Barry, what's up? Say you're casting an 8th level spell, so your DC is an 18, and your modifier, let's say, is +6, and say you roll an 8. That's more than 6 less than 18. So then you would roll on the wild magic chart.
Well, so here's 2 new homebrews I'm toying with that I want to kind of like share with. I think I'm going to share it with the Crucible table, and I'm definitely going to share it with the Monday night table. So I love the idea of taking on the risk of casting a spell that you're not ready to cast. I think that has. Did you finish Mirror Staff yet? These people got long memories, Barry. These people got, and I apologize. They got long memories.
Wow. That's a blast from season 2 of Lawfully.
So, one of the things I like to do is, if you want to buy a scroll in game, right? You're out shopping, you see this cool scroll. Well, what do you do about a spell that's beyond your spell capability, or if you're not innately arcade? Well, I want a DC system for that. And I think it makes sense because you're toying with powerful potential outcomes, right? But if you're a wizard who's learned a spell that you're not ready to cast yet, I want to give them an outlet. I want to give them something to do. So if you learn, or you've prepared, or you've learned a spell not prepared, because that's still very different. But if you've learned a spell that's beyond your ability to cast, and you want to try to cast it, well, then you can try to cast it, but you don't get to add your spellcasting modifier. You only get to add your base ability score that would be considered useful for that attempt. So if you're trying to cast a level 7 spell that you suddenly discover in some mysterious library somewhere, you have to roll a 17 or higher, and your only bonus is like a +4 intelligence. That's risk. That's real risk aversion. But
basically, you just don't get your proficiency bonus.
Correct. Yeah. Basically, you just get your base ability bonus, and that's it. So it's suddenly rolling a 17 or higher on a D20 when you only have a +4 modifier gets interesting, right? You're like, but the outcome could be awesome. You could.
I love it.
You can have this amazing potential of suddenly casting the spell. I want to create a damage chart for both failure and success. I like this idea of taking away all the spell slot restrictions, taking away all the kind of silliness of what they claim is game balance.
Now, obviously, I would assume cantrips are just an automatic.
Correct. Ritual casts and cantrips do not require casting rolls.
Okay.
Because a ritual cast feels very demonstrative and focused. So
yeah, you're being careful. You're taking time. Yeah. If the other guys are, I would totally be up for doing this in our Sunday game. This sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so Lee brought up a good point. There's always the idea, make it a flat D20 roll with no modifier.
I actually would. If you're doing
the problem with that is then you introduce what's called risk aversion, and you stop taking risks because the amount of risk is greater than the reward.
No, I think I agree. For a spell that you either, like I said, and I'm just using a wizard because that's what I'm.
Well, but I think Lee's saying flat in general. Like anytime you cast any spell at any point in time.
Oh no!
It's a flat D20 roll.
I think that's what he's saying. The flat roll disadvantage might be too much, but I think a flat roll. For
you try and roll a 19 or higher on a flat roll.
Exactly, but for a spell that you otherwise would not yet be able to cast, you can still use the spell.
Oh no, you're right. He's saying no, the spell that you're not ready for.
Yeah. So a spell that is more powerful than you are otherwise able to cast yet due to your level, or for a wizard, for instance, or anybody that that prepares spells. The spell that is in your book, but you hadn't put on your prepared list. I think, I think that's freaking awesome.
I mean, and I think our Sunday game recently had an issue where they rolled a 4 on the Wild Magic table for the failure. No, a 14. They rolled a 14. So it was a bad outcome. I mean, they were in the middle of a fight. They were way down on their hit points, and then suddenly someone really fucked up on their spellcasting roll. And then boom, a big kind of juicy outcome. But I think what was really fun in the Monday night game is it's fun to watch somebody cast the Hands of Hadar like 4 times in a row. It's fucking cool.
And they got to be one, and they just go.
Yeah, they got to be. They got to, and that's the thing I love most about getting rid of spell slots. It allows casters to truly become what they're trying to become, right? Like if you wanted to be a caster that was focused on a particular pathway, and you no longer have those spell restrictions, you can be a more successful fire wizard, or you could be far more warlocky because you can pick the spells in your warlock categories that kind of fit with the idea of the character that you're building.
How do you handle, what do you do for spells that, if you cast above the, like say chromatic orb, which is a level 2 spell or a level 1 spell.
Right.
And if you cast it at a higher level, you add dice to damage. So how would you handle that mechanic?
It's all, the baseline is always the level that you're casting at. So even if you're upcasting a spell to level 4, right? Because you have that level available to you. It has to be available.
So it makes your DC harder. So
yeah. So instead of rolling an 11, now you have to roll a 14.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But so then, I've gone back and forth.
Theoretically, if you weren't risk averse, you'd be casting everything at your maximum level.
Yeah.
Like a warlock.
Yeah. And I think that really presents some really fun outcomes. I would agree with you, 3 Miles. Half casters with a no spell slot system are so much more interesting now. Like an arcane archer can be so much more fun. An arcane trickster can be so much more fun. All of these kind of particular baseline arcane mixed rogue or mixed fighter or mixed types can be a lot more interesting. But I think what I am going to toy with, because I'm having so much fun with the Wild Magic table, I think the Wild Magic table that I built now is going to be for the arcane. I think I'm going to build one for divine, and I'm going to build one for nature. That way, when divine spellcasts fail, they have a much more divinity feel to it, as opposed to an arcane feel.
Like your eyes explode.
Or like
nature, your eyes turn into mushrooms.
You fail your spellcasting as a divine caster, and then you roll a 2 on a D100. Suddenly, God's foot shows up and smashes you and your party. Yeah, angry gods. Or you're a natural caster, right? You're nature cast based, like a druid or something.
You're rooted in place, or that's a great idea.
Or suddenly you turn into a tree for an hour.
Yeah,
something that gives it a little bit more animus to the idea of what kind of caster you are. I think will make it more fun. So I started to
those tables.
Sure, yeah, I'd always love some help on those tables. Okay. I've started to build the nature one because let's face it, nature fucking with you is so much more fun.
I'd love to do the arcane one, and then maybe we can.
Well, I've already done the arcane one. That's the one that we're currently using.
Oh, okay.
And it definitely. Well, I'll have to go through it. There might be a few that don't make sense, so I might send it to you so you can go through it and tweak it. The idea was like 0 through 40 it could be bad. Like 0 through 4 extremely bad. 5 through 8 is bad, and the idea is the lower you roll, the worse it is, and the midlands of the roll are kind of funny or introspective or designed to make things challenging. But on the very high end of the roll, like if you roll a natural 100 on the D100, suddenly everybody in the party gets 6d8 healing. Your spell goes off. You get all these really cool.
What do you do for a critical fail
on the arcane table?
You could just say you roll 3d10 instead of like if your shitty ones, if your bad outcomes were higher, you could say that if you critically fail, then you roll 3d10 instead of 2.
So if you roll a 1 through 4 on the Wild Magic table, it's called Arcane Meltdown.
No. If you critically fail your casting roll.
Oh yeah. So if you critically fail your casting roll, the critical failure is obviously you have to roll a D100 to see what the outcome is, and your next casting roll will be at disadvantage. Therefore, you because you critically failed, the next time you make a casting roll, you're going to be at disadvantage. However, if you roll a natural 20 on your critical roll, on your casting roll, then your spell automatically goes off, and then you have advantage on your next casting roll. Because sometimes I just want to keep the rules simple enough to at least give a crit fail or crit success a little extra edge. I don't want people to have to keep track of things. I want to keep it kind of simple.
Yeah, and something, I've never really agreed with the standard critical hit rules for spells where you double the dice, because a lot of spells do multiple.
Well, we don't do that anymore. Remember, we got rid of that.
I know we don't. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
So again, I like your solution to that, which is just advantage or disadvantage on the next casting roll.
Yeah, based on your outcome.
A fucking 16d6 fireball. You know what I mean?
It's so like, for example, on the Wild Magic table, there's an effect. Like if you roll a 1 through 4 on the D100, the effect is called Arcane Meltdown. You and creatures within 10 feet take 6d6 force plus 6d6 thunder damage.
Jesus Christ.
That's you can't cast spells until the end of your next turn. They do get a dex save, to mitigate the potential damage, but on the opposite end of this
intelligence save.
No, it's a dex save because you're trying to save against the physical damage of the arcane surge. So the surge is already happening. It's like it. Yeah. But if you roll a 97 through 100, you get something that's called Mythic Surge. Immediately take 1 extra turn, so 1 extra AP. During that extra AP,
1 extra AP, not 1 extra turn.
Right. It depends on which table you're at, right? During that turn, your first spell is cast as if one level higher without the extra DC requirement. Its damage or healing dice are maximized, and you and your allies within 30 feet gain resistance to 1 damage type of your choice until the start of your following turn. So the idea was to create this like magical, like unexpected outcome, because of either your successes or your failures. And I didn't want to complicate it with a resource management. I wanted to just make it relatable to just the dice that are in play.
Can we do this? Can we bring this up on Sunday and see if everybody's open to it?
Well, you guys are what, level 15 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to disrupt. I mean, we could bring it up on Sunday and see what they think. I think personally, Chris would love it because as a warlock, it really makes warlocks more interesting. Warlocks actually have value.
I forgot about that because warlocks specifically, even with the short rest recovery for spell slots, warlocks still, I know if you build a warlock right, they're fucking awesome. It's still my favorite class. Yeah. But even at high levels, still, like, only having 3 or 4 spell slots, even with the invocations.
And think about how cool it would be not to worry about spell slots.
I'm just wondering if that specific example, if a warlock without spell slot restrictions is too OP.
I don't think so, because it still depends on what you've prepared. In some of my tables,
warlock has access to all their spells.
Oh, that's right, because it's through their patron. I've got a warlock in the Monday game, and I've got a warlock in the Sunday night game, and I can guarantee you it has not made them OP.
Well, you know what you could do? You could still because warlocks cast everything at their highest level always.
Yes, so that's actually been a challenge for
what you could do is you could just backtrack on that and just use the normal spell level equals DC.
No, we actually just stick to the rule set. So like one of our players, Tally, in the Sunday night game, she's a warlock. Some of what she casts it says in her character sheet, like, you cast this at a level 5. Well, she's rolling a 15 or higher to get that cast off, and her spell casting modifier is only a 6.
Okay, but see, there's a problem with that, because if you are casting a level 1, what would be a level 1 spell, you're then penalized, because as a warlock, you're required to roll a 15 instead of only having to roll an 11.
But you got to remember, built into the warlock's build, they're not really doing level 1 damage, though. She's casting a spell that's doing.
What if you're casting Featherfall?
Well, no, but Featherfall for her may not be at the highest level. Sometimes certain spells are at the highest level.
That's my point. But you're saying as a warlock, Featherfall would be cast for her with a DC of 15. You see what I'm saying?
Get a new patron. Pick a new character. Don't know what to tell you.
But
it actually balances out. But it balances it out.
I'm not trying to blow this up on you.
No, but you actually balanced it out for me now, because we were worried about what if you give warlocks unlimited spell slots. Well, now it's not a problem, because
it's harder for them to cast.
It's harder for them to cast anyways.
Okay. What about this?
It almost kind of balances it.
How do you handle reaction spells like Featherfall?
It's a DC roll. Anytime you make a spell casting cast, you then have to roll a casting roll, no matter what. Okay. The only exception is cantrips and ritual casting. Those are the only 2 exceptions.
Well, but see, then that breaks a lot of reaction spells, like Featherfall.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on your character.
Featherfall is, if you're falling, you cast it, you're safe, unless outside factors either dispel it or something like that. So now you've got. It just
makes it more deadly. It makes it less boring.
I'm not going to argue with that, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I agree with that for reaction spell.
The problem is you can't, if you're going to introduce a rule that makes it easy to remember and easy to use, you can't start bisecting it based on certain physical.
But you also have to make sure that it is balanced.
No, that's the biggest mistake of D&D. No. It's a huge mistake in D&D. Balance is stupid.
I completely disagree with you there.
Well, that's fine. I mean, if you like boring games, go for balance. If you want to play fun, exciting, chaotic games, ignore balance.
Yeah, okay.
You're talking to somebody who has a feedback loop of 8 times a week.
I get it. I get it.
And I'll tell you this much right now. A lot of people that I talk to in the public, or when they're learning about what I do for a living, they're like, yeah, I played in a game for a while, but it just kind of felt too Care Bear for me. Like, we're allowed to do whatever we want. We're heroes, and we're always doing heroic shit, and we're doing this. It never felt dangerous. It just felt like, hey, I'm a hero. I can do whatever I want. I'm like, well, come play it at our table, and you'll definitely feel like someone's trying to kill you. It's not me trying to kill you. It's usually the character practically trying to kill themselves.
Deadly games. Absolutely. I almost killed one of my players last week on it inadvertently. Featherfall is not a feature.
It can be, depending on how you use it.
I'm not talking about it as a feature. I'm talking about it as a spell.
Yeah, as a spell, you can cast reaction Featherfall. And the idea is that if you make your casting roll, you're good. The spell goes off. And if you fail to cast it, it means you're falling. On top of that, you got to roll that D100.
And like I said, I'm not sure. But you can't blanket say you can't. You shouldn't have balance in a role playing game. If let's just
all
say
games that are balanced,
let's just say
all games that are balanced suck.
Okay, then you end up with a game where everybody is going to want to play. And I'm not saying this is a result of that. I'm just saying, as an example, you end up in a game where good to see you in black. You end up in a game where everybody ends up maybe playing a caster because non-caster classes now suck. What's the fun in that? That sucks. That's boring.
Maybe it's mostly me just being a jerk. I understand balance, right?
Okay,
I get it. I get
long
it.
as you admit it.
But balance is an illusion, right? If you look at paladins and monks, there's no balance there in paladins and monks, especially monks. Monks are so horribly OP right now. There's no way to get them to balance inside of a game. It's impossible because of the way they're set up.
And that's an issue.
Paladins are...
Hold on. There's a feature version of Featherfall, but also just because you fail the roll doesn't mean the spell never happens. So wait, I thought if you fail the roll, the spell doesn't go off properly.
It doesn't go off, but the D100 magic table may be a positive versus a negative. So you may roll on the D100 table that says, your spell does go off, and then this positive thing happens. Or the spell doesn't go off, and then this negative thing happens. But it could take a while to fall. So during in the 4 AP system, right? If you're casting Featherfall as a reaction,
I guess you just cast it multiple times.
You cast it again, you cast it again, and you cast it again until you're successful.
So in the 4 AP system, it probably works better than it would in action economy.
But we've already decided that the 4 AP action economy is so much more interesting and provides so much more storytelling than this traditional economy.
Well, I want to try this. So let's get on. Well, not now, but we'll get on Discord and we'll talk to the group and see if.
I think. I think Sunday morning we should just spend like
anytime. So I kind of homebrewed wild magic with sorcerers in my campaign, where if you roll anytime you cast. You roll another d20, and if you roll a 1, then it's a wild magic effect. Anytime you cast a spell of first level or higher.
Right.
You also have Tides of Chaos, which allows you to ask the DM, or the DM can just state that something happens, where you get your... Tides of Chaos is like a luck point, basically. It's like a reroll.
Right.
Where you get it back, and then you automatically roll on the wild magic table. Well, I let people, whenever they want to, get that Tides of Chaos back by rolling on the wild magic table, because again, I love wild magic table and I think it is fun as shit. So
I like the idea of a unique
anytime
table
you can have a wild magical effect happen. I think nothing but good things can come of that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I want the players to have more fun. Like I want them to feel like their character is developing in a pathway there's nothing more frustrating in D&D mechanics for a player, I think, because I can see it on their face or I can feel it after a combat where you just feel like you're casting these spells and they're just not doing anything. Like you get one action, right? You get that one magic action. That's it.
Yeah.
And that one spell barely does anything.
If you miss with a big spell that costs like a 4th, 5th level spell, so that, it sucks when you miss with any character.
Watching a wizard
happens,
that
fucking sucks.
Watching a low-level wizard and the rest of their party is unconscious and they're the only ones still alive. Watching that low-level wizard be able to cast 4 or cast 2 level 1 spells or 2 level 2 spells or 4 cantrips, or watching them just be these majestic casters that they're meant to be is epic. And the idea that if they fail at their casting roll, they could potentially cause a situation where all their players are healed.
Oh yeah,
and everybody stands up. Yeah. Or they could do a situation where everybody's dead. Yeah. So some of the other things I've been toying with is like, I've always enjoyed the idea of some RPG or TTRPGs that allow you to power cast. So like, maybe create a system that's not overly deviating from the baseline system, that if you're casting a 3rd level, fireball, if your intelligence modifier is a +4, then you can power cast. And you're like, okay, you get 4 extra dice on your damage dice for fireball, right? So you get that 4 extra D6. But every time you power cast, you have to roll on a D100 table. Like it's not a casting, it's not a casting roll. It's still a casting roll it wouldn't be a casting roll for it to go off. It goes off because you're power casting to avoid the casting roll.
Oh, but it's a forced wild effect.
But it's a forced wild effect because you're power casting.
Okay, so it goes off as intended without a roll.
Correct.
But you're forced into a
right. So let's say you're rolling.
And what determines how can you power cast?
So it's either going to be your ability modifier that's the base for your spell proficiency modifier, or I would probably use your base spell modifier instead of the spell attack modifier. Or I don't know yet. See, I'm still trying to work that out. So the idea was to give a little bit more play to lower level spells to have more fun with them, but not necessarily tie it directly into a casting roll and give casters this really fun way to say, you know what, I want to power cast Magic Missile. I go, great. You don't need to make a casting roll, but you're going to have to roll on a D100 for the Wild Magic table. However, go ahead and take your spell modifier, and that's the number of dice you get to add to the outcome of the damage roll. So instead of rolling like 3d4, now if your spell modifier is a 6,
so all you're doing is stating that you intend to power
cast. Yeah,
I think there's got to be some cost or resource or something to that, because
the cost is you automatically have to roll on the Wild Magic
also, but I just see again,
keep in mind I would probably build a Wild Magic table specific to power casting.
Okay,
right,
then that makes sense.
Then it would be more in line.
It's kind of like all bad effects ish. Some worse.
Well, they're all negative effects, but they scale down.
That's what I mean.
Depending on what.
Okay.
You roll.
Then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, you may power cast, and suddenly you take 18 points of psychic damage.
Right.
But if you're going to put that kind of risk adverse in there, I want to make sure that the power cast makes sense. Like, I want them to suddenly, your lightning bolt is 100 times bigger, brighter, because instead of 4d8, you're adding your spell casting modifier on top of that. So now it's 98 of damage,
Yeah.
However, now you got to roll D100. And if you roll, an 85, it's not going to be as bad if you roll a 4 or a 5.
Right. Okay.
So like for me, a power cast roll, like a power cast roll on a D100, what would be cool is if you rolled a 1. Right, if you rolled a 1 on a D100,
just blew yourself up, and everybody
basically you're unconscious with 0 hit points. Right, you're down.
Okay,
0 hit points. You're unconscious.
Then that makes sense to me that it would be a separate table, and they're all negative.
Gets to go off. That's the cool thing.
Oh yeah.
Spell gets to go off.
Okay.
So you get to be that like heroic caster, that kind of saves. That like. 2 people are down. The cleric is healing somebody. The rogue is almost dead. And you've got this one spell ready to go, and you power cast lightning bolt.
For spells that have a target and require a target roll or a hit roll, how does that work?
Ooh, it's a good question. So with
would you have a second roll, one to see if it goes off, and a second roll to actually make the hit?
Correct. Yeah, because you have to, no matter what, all spells follow the same rule now. Anytime you cast a spell, you roll your casting roll first. Yeah. If it's a ranged spell attack, then you roll to hit, because obviously the benefit of a ranged spell attack is no one gets a save, right? It just goes off.
Right.
It does the damage it does. The spell casting roll for everything else, they still have to make a save for failure or success within because I didn't want to change the rules of the spell.
Yeah.
That's too much work. When I was going through the Shadow Dark, I realized that they had redone all their spells to match their system of a casting roll. And I said, well, for them, that kind of makes sense.
Way too much work, yeah.
But for me in a D&D environment,
there's a secondary roll. Either way, you either have to roll a second die to hit, or they have to roll a second die basically to save.
If the target needs to save. Area of effect, target, whatever it is.
Yeah.
However, what we don't do is if you cast Chromatic Orb, or something that gives you multiple attacks, you don't roll a casting roll for each attack. You only ever roll a casting roll for just that single spell.
What do you mean multiple attacks?
So like certain spells allow you to do range.
Like Burning Hands.
Burning Hands.
I'm sorry. Scorching Ray.
Scorching Ray. Yeah, Scorching Ray.
Chromatic Orb is one. Scorching Ray is like 3 different rays.
Correct. 3. So anytime a spell forces you to make more than one attack roll, you don't roll multiple casting rolls. You only ever roll one single casting roll.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense. You still have to roll 3 hit rolls.
Could you do wild? Oh, this is interesting. See, I love these kind of conversations. Could you do wild might? Have a table of melee attacks that you get 3 attacks, or a devastated attack, or weak attack, or you hit an ally, or punch yourself in the face. Melee. The 4 AP system already really gives melee and ranged attack players a lot more to do.
Yeah.
This feels like homework for them.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like spellcasters never have enough.
As much as I like effect tables, I agree. I think for melee that probably.
However, it has
brought
me to another thought process. There's a lot of characters that have abilities, feats, and traits that are described as a magical effect, right? You have this magical ability, or you can do this magical effect. And I really want to kind of create something for that to encourage people to use it more often, but maybe make it a little bit more saucier or spicy.
Yeah, but I don't think. But the difference between that, magical effects pretty much always have a limited number of uses.
They have a limited number of uses, but how cool would it be to have like a power effect where instead of face stepping as a magic ability, 30 feet, what if I can boost it to 60 feet? What's the risk encompassing of that? You're trapped in the ethereal plane for up to a minute, right? You could do like cool, fun things to take these baseline abilities that hardly. Face step is probably not a good example because it gets used all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of magical abilities and feats and features and traits that people get to level 20 and they're like, why did I never use this? What, why is this on my character sheet if I'm never going to use it? So I don't know. I feel like a barbarian going into a rage should have some fun. The
rage, a lot of these effects are already like the icing on the cake of something else. So I don't think it's the same as casting a spell. I personally probably wouldn't touch magic effects the same way because it's like
I can touch whatever I want, sir. Whether it's accepted or not.
Family show. This is a family fucking show. I really want to use this though because it sounds fucking fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
It really does.
And I am going to introduce a druid table or a nature table, and I'm going to introduce a divine table because I think it makes sense to that. I am definitely going to build a power cast table because I think that'll be a lot of fun for players to do. I want players to have fun. And sometimes little tweaks and little nudges like this just make it more fun for the players. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of DMs and GMs out there going to be like, oh, great. Something else I have to track. I'm like, not really. The formula is pretty simple. It's a base 10 plus the level of the spell. I mean, I got to say
the AP system, since we've been using it, and when I say that you can't break things and the game has to be balanced, I believe that to a point. Some things will get broken a little bit, and I think that's okay. I don't think everything...
Monks.
Well, fucking druids. Right?
Well, they got a bit of a correction in 2024, so they're not too...
Okay, in 2014, same thing. Druids were
very broken. Yeah.
So
high level.
So there's a difference between very broken and a little broken. I'm okay with a little broken.
Okay? Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So the 4 AP system, though, I mean, I was amazed at how much more fun it is to play because everything we've talked about, everything you've said about not being able to or not wanting to do A because then I won't be able to do B just goes out the window.
Half my tables have permanently adopted it. Both Sunday tables have adopted it.
Yeah,
Saturday table adopted it. The Monday table adopted it. The Wednesday night table played with it for a while, but I think they just appreciated the traditional formula more than the 4AP system, so they reverted back to it. They haven't said it's worse or better. I think a lot of my players on my Wednesday night table are old school players. They're just more comfortable with the traditional mechanic. But my my Tuesday night, my Wednesday afternoon, and my Wednesday night, those 3 tables are not using the 4AP system.
Okay.
My Monday, my Saturday, and both my... Oh, man, I'm only running 7 games right now. Holy crap, I love it. I love it. It's been great. Obviously, I have 2 tables open, to fill. I'll be back up to 9 games, hopefully, by wintertime. I've already got people, crawling in. So
buy my product.
But yeah, I think the 4AP system has really saved the game. It's made it faster. It's made it much more fun. The players can do more. Casters can do more. Yeah, much to my dismay. Unfortunately, Lee is in one game that uses it, but he's also in another game that doesn't use it. So kind of like he's getting both experiences, twice a week.
Lee, which one is it for you? Which gets thumbs up and which gets thumbs down?
Oh, Monday. He loves 4AP. He absolutely adores 4AP. Okay. Because he could do more,
I told you I introduced the idea to my crew, and everybody shit on it because they're just not up for it. So.
Yeah, well, some people just don't like change. They just don't like it. They don't like the idea of change, and it's easier to just keep doing the same thing.
Hey,
and
you're talking to one of those right here. But once you play it, it's like, the
idea that a 40-foot movement speed barbarian in a single turn can now move 160 feet. That is so fucking boss. Like, you can spend all 4 of your AP running. I mean, I think that's so cool. You get to
It's awesome.
You're this big old barbarian running across the battlefield, and suddenly this guy with a bow is like, "Oh shit, I'm dead."
And I really do, and I wanna combine it with the magic rules. That's fun.
I think that would make it a lot of fun too.
All right,
especially now that you guys have like level 6 spells and stuff like that.
Well, not only that, but you gave me that book of evocations where I've basically learned every evocation spell. So to your point, it's like, oh, this spell is really cool. Never gonna fucking prepare it on the off chance I might use it. It's just
yeah. No, I agree. Cool. Well, we did it again, Bri. Where'd that hour go?
We did.
We went from world building to rule building and homebrew building. I think it's all kind of in this.
And you know what? I feel a little bit of the creative juices flowing just from this conversation.
Where can we find you, Bri?
You can find me at RPG and Co on the Instagram and a couple other platforms. Check out the website at playrpgandco.com. I had to actually look at my own address. It's funny. Other than Instagram and the website, every time I do something, on Threads or something somewhere, I'm like, which one is it? And I have to.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
On Instagram, send me a DM. Always love chatting and talking game stuff. Jason, what about you? Where can we find you?
You can find me over at ttrpgacademy.life. You can find me over at Linktree, TTRPG Academy, YouTube. You can always find me our Discord channel. Always willing to have a fun conversation. If you're a spammer who likes to convince me you're on hard times and you want me to buy your art commission, I'm just going to delete you. I've gotten 5 of those in a week now. It's pretty annoying. So, hey, Bri, TPK.
Tell a story, Jason.
Play a game.
And most of all, please be kind.
Good night, everybody.
Next week.